The maintenance shaft of Orbital Station Artemis smelled like recycled air and poor life choices. Lieutenant Finn Mercer hung suspended in the narrow metallic tunnel, shoulders pressed against cold duranium walls as he repaired a neural relay coupling. His tools floated beside him, held in place by magnetic tethers in the station's artificial gravity field. "This is absolutely thrilling," he muttered into his comm unit. "Nothing says Friday night like crawling through pipes to fix something that should have been replaced 3 years ago." His maintenance partner, Technician Dominic Webb, chuckled. "Stop complaining and twist the coupling clockwise. It won't bite you." "Everything bites me," Finn replied, fumbling with the connector. "Last week a diagnostic probe sliced my thumb. Bled for hours." Engineer Patel, position 2 sections down, snorted. "That's not how biology works, Mercer." "I swear, sometimes I think you just make up stories." "I'm a walking miracle of medicine," Finn protested as he secured the coupling. "Besides, I'm memorable, unlike some people." The conversation lulled as they worked, with only the soft hum of life support systems and occasional chirps from diagnostic tools breaking the silence. Finn had been stationed here 14 months, long enough to know. Maintenance schedules by heart, but not enough to stop. Finding the work tedious, the Valorians had arrived 8 months ago for a joint military exchange program. In reality, everyone knew they were pooling resources against the collective threat from the Andromeda sector. "Hey, have you guys noticed Commander Vex lately?" Finn asked, positioning his scanner against a junction point. "Noticed what?" Dominic responded. "That she's efficient? Terrifying? That her sensory crests can detect movement from 20 meters away?" "Well, that part, yes, but I was going to say something else," Finn continued, voice taking on a conspiratorial tone. "I saw her in the training hall yesterday, and I swear that Valorians—" "No," Patel interrupted firmly. "Whatever you're about to say, the answer is no. You don't even know what I was going to say." "I absolutely do. And it's going to be inappropriate, because everything you say is inappropriate, and you're going to get us all reassigned to waste reclamation." Finn grinned. "I was going to comment on her tactical brilliance. She executed that defense simulation flawlessly." "Liar," Dominic said cheerfully. "Fine. But also, and I'm being purely observational, from a scientific standpoint, her uniform really makes her look like someone who could kill us all without breaking a sweat." "And there it is?" Patel muttered. "Wait. I'm not finished." Finn maneuvered around a support beam. "And also, that woman has a figure that could distract an entire battalion during combat drills." Silence. Long, terrible silence. Then Dominic burst out laughing, echoing through the shaft like they were broadcasting through a canyon. Patel joined in, her scanner forgotten. "Did you really just evaluate a Valorian commander's physical attributes?" Dominic wheezed between laughs. "I was being appreciative," Finn protested, laughing too. "Valorians value physical perfection, right?" "You're going to get court-martialed," Patel warned. "Who's going to hear us?" Finn scoffed. "We're literally inside the walls." That was his first mistake. His second was not accounting for Valorian hearing being 3 times more sensitive than human ears, especially in enclosed metal spaces that carried sound waves efficiently dot by the time they finished. Maintenance 2 hours later. Finn's words had spread through the station like wildfire. Summoned Commander Nara Vex's message arrived during Finn's dinner. "Lieutenant Mercer, your presence is required in my quarters at 1900 hours. Immediate compliance expected." The mess hall fell silent as he read it. His table mates stared at him with a mixture of horror and fascination. "Well," Dominic finally said, "you had a good run." Patel shook her head. "What did you expect? Valorians have hearing that can detect a whisper through 3 bulkheads." "Of course she heard you." Finn spent the next hour oscillating between panic and resignation. He showered twice, changed uniforms 3 times, and even researched Valorian disciplinary protocols. When 1900 arrived, he stood outside Commander Vex's quarters, heart hammering against his ribs. The door slid open before he could press the chime. Commander. Nara Vex was shorter than most Valorians, but no less intimidating. Her silver-blue skin caught the light as she moved. The sensory crests along her head, similar to fins that humans often mistakenly called ears, were extended fully, indicating heightened attention. Her uniform was immaculate, dark blue with silver trim denoting her rank. "Lieutenant Mercer," she said, her voice carrying the precise cadence typical of Valorians. "Your punctuality is noted." "Commander," Finn managed, his vocal cords apparently transformed into sandpaper. "I want to apologize for my extremely inappropriate comments." "Sit," she interrupted, gesturing to a chair opposite her desk. "I did not summon you for an apology you clearly do not mean." Finn sat, grateful his legs were still functioning. Nara deactivated her holographic displays and turned her full attention to him. Being focused on by a Valorian commander felt like being caught in a tractor beam. "Tell me," she said, her head crests shifting slightly in what might have been curiosity. "Why did you make such a comment?" Finn's mouth went dry. Nara waited with the patience of someone accustomed to extracting information through silence alone. "It was a joke," he finally admitted. "Just a stupid joke. The kind soldiers make when they're doing tedious work, and their brains have turned to mush from boredom." Her crests twitched. "Explain the humor." "The... what? The humor? What makes it funny?" She leaned back, her chair adjusting to her posture automatically. "I have been stationed at this facility for 8 months. I have attempted to understand human social bonding rituals. Your comedic traditions remain perplexing." Finn blinked. This was either an elaborate trap, or Commander Vex genuinely wanted him to explain why he'd made an inappropriate comment about her appearance. "It's about contrast," he began cautiously. "Humans use humor as a social bonding mechanism. We joke about things that are normally serious or off-limits. It creates shared understanding. It's transgressive. It breaks social norms in a safe way." "Transgressive," Nara repeated, as if analyzing the word's tactical applications. "You deliberately break social norms to create bonding?" "Yes, and making fun of authority figures is how lower-ranking personnel maintain psychological equilibrium. It's not a threat, it's a pressure valve." Breaking barriers. 3 weeks passed since their unusual encounter, and Finn found himself regularly summoned to Commander Vex's quarters, not for discipline, but for what she called cultural exchange sessions. Tonight, Finn sat across from Nara as she reviewed his explanation of human sarcasm. The lighting in her quarters was dimmer than standard, adjusted to Valorian preferences. So when Technician Webb stated that your repair work was absolutely brilliant after you caused that minor electrical fire, ... She consulted her notes. "He meant the opposite." "Exactly," Finn confirmed. His tone indicated the meaning was reversed. "Inefficient communication," she observed, though her crests rippled in what Finn had begun to recognize as amusement. "Why not simply state the assessment directly?" "Because it's more fun this way," Finn explained. "It builds camaraderie." Nara made a note on her datapad. "Valorians prioritize clarity. Ambiguity leads to tactical disadvantages. But don't you ever just want to relax? Have fun with your comrades?" Her crests flattened slightly. "Valorian military structure discourages personal connections. We function as coordinated units, not as friends." Something in her tone made Finn pause. "That sounds lonely." "Loneliness is irrelevant to operational efficiency," she replied automatically. But her eyes, violet with concentric rings of silver, didn't meet his. "Maybe for machines," Finn countered gently. But even Valorians need connection. Her crests rippled in what might have been discomfort. This concept of friendship you humans value so highly, it compromises objectivity. It also gives us something to fight for, Finn said. Something beyond abstract concepts, like duty or honor. Nara studied him with unexpected intensity. What would you fight for, Lieutenant Mercer? My crewmates. My friends. He paused. Anyone I care about? Even a Valorian? The question hung between them, weighted with meaning Finn couldn't fully decipher. If it was the right Valorian, he answered truthfully. Something shifted in her expression, subtle but unmistakable. She stood abruptly and moved to the viewport overlooking the starfield. In 3 cycles, I am required to submit an evaluation of human-Valorian integration potential, she said, her back to him. My superiors expect a negative assessment. And what will you tell them? Her crests moved in a complex pattern. I find myself reconsidering previous assumptions. Finn joined her at the viewport, careful to maintain appropriate distance. Is that why you've been studying our inefficient social customs? Partially, she admitted, but also because I find them ... intriguing. The space between them seemed charged with unspoken possibilities. For a brief moment, Finn thought he saw longing in her alien features, a universal expression transcending species differences. Tomorrow, she said suddenly, there is a diplomatic reception. Valorian commanders are expected to attend with an aide. She turned to him. Would you consider accompanying me? For cultural observation purposes. Finn couldn't help smiling. Commander, did you just ask me on a date? Her crests flared in alarm. A date suggests romantic interest. This would be strictly professional. Of course, he agreed, though something in her voice suggested otherwise. Strictly professional cultural exchange. As he left her quarters, Finn realized 2 things. First, that Commander Nara Vex might be the most fascinating person he'd ever met. And second, that he was developing feelings that went far beyond professional. Curiosity. What had begun as a careless comment in a maintenance shaft was evolving into something neither human nor Valorian protocols had prepared them. FOR. Crisis point. The diplomatic reception was interrupted by blaring alarms. Red emergency lights flooded the observation deck as Captain Hargrove's voice echoed through the station. All personnel to battle stations. Unidentified vessels approaching. This is not a drill. Nara's crests flattened against her head, a Valorian expression of intense focus. She tapped her communication implant. Commander Vex to tactical. Status report. Finn watched as her expression darkened. Without explanation, she grabbed his arm and pulled him toward a maintenance corridor. 3 collective warships. They've jammed long-range communications. How did they get past the outer sensor array? Finn asked as they hurried through the corridor. Unknown. But they've deployed boarding crafts, Nara replied. We need to reach the secondary command center. They rounded a corner and encountered 2 masked figures in unfamiliar armor. Collective soldiers. Before Finn could react, Nara moved with blinding speed, disarming one while kicking the other against the wall. Finn grabbed a fallen weapon and fired at the second attacker. Nice moves, Commander. Her crests rippled with what might have been pride. Your reaction time was ... acceptable. They continued through the station, encountering more collective forces. Each time, they worked together with increasing synchronicity. Nara's Valorian precision, complemented by Finn's human adaptability. At a sealed junction, Finn accessed a maintenance panel. They've locked down this section, but I can reroute power and override. Impossible, Nara stated. Security protocols require authorized command codes. Watch and learn, Finn grinned, bypassing the security system with unorthodox methods. Sometimes you need to break rules to win. Her crests flared with surprise as the doors opened. Unconventional, but effective. In the secondary command center, they found Captain Hargrove and a mixed human-Valorian team fighting to regain control of the station. "Our defense systems are compromised," Hargrove explained. "We can't target their ships manually." Nara studied the tactical display. "The targeting array can be reset from the maintenance shafts we repaired last month." Finn realized what she was suggesting. "Those same shafts where I double quotes," he trailed off. "Where you made your observations about my physique," she finished, a hint of amusement in her voice, despite the crisis. "Yes, you know those systems better than anyone." "We'll never reach them through conventional routes," Hargrove said. Finn exchanged a look with Nara. "Then we use unconventional routes." Minutes later, they crawled through the same ventilation system where everything had begun. Finn worked to reconfigure the targeting array while Nara guarded their position. "If we survive this," Finn said as he worked, "will you admit our cultural exchange sessions weren't entirely professional?" Her crests moved in a complex pattern he'd grown to recognize as emotional conflict. "Focus on the task, Lieutenant." "I am focused. I'm also acknowledging that whatever this is between us matters." He connected the final circuit. "And I think it matters to you, too." Before she could respond, the ship rocked with an explosion. Nara was thrown forward, colliding with Finn. For a moment, they were pressed together in the narrow shaft, faces inches apart. "It does matter," she whispered, her voice barely audible. New understanding 3 days after repelling the collective attack, Finn stood on the observation deck, watching repair drones work on the station's hull. Artemis had suffered damage, but thanks to their actions, they'd prevailed. He sensed Nara's presence before she spoke. Valorians moved silently, but after everything they'd been through, he'd developed an awareness of her that transcended normal human perception. "The High Command has reviewed my report," she said, joining him at the viewport. "They were surprised by our effective cooperation." "Just effective?" Finn asked, a smile playing at his lips. "I thought we were spectacular." Her crests rippled with what he now recognized as genuine amusement. "I may have used more emphatic terminology in my official assessment." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Something had changed between them, boundaries crossed that neither had anticipated when he first made that careless comment weeks ago. "I've been reassigned," she finally said. Finn's heart sank. "Back to Valorian Command?" "No." Her crests moved in a pattern he hadn't seen before. "I've been appointed permanent liaison to human forces. The first of its kind." Relief flooded through him. "So you're staying?" "Yes." She turned to face him fully. "Our cultural exchange has proven valuable. The High Command believes continued study of human social bonding mechanisms may provide tactical advantages." "Is that the only reason you're staying?" Her violet eyes met his. "Official reasons are documented in my report." "And unofficial reasons?" Her crests moved in that complex pattern of emotional conflict. "Valorians do not typically acknowledge personal considerations, but I find myself experiencing irregularities in my thought processes when contemplating departure." She stepped closer. "My efficiency metrics decrease by approximately 24% when you are not present." Finn smiled. "That might be the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me." "It was not intended to be romantic," she protested, though her crests betrayed her. "Of course not. Strictly professional observation." In a move that surprised them both, Nara reached out and touched his hand, a gesture so intimate by Valorian standards that it left him speechless. "I have learned much from our cultural exchange," she said softly. "Perhaps the most valuable lesson is that differences between our species need not be barriers. They can be complementary." Finn intertwined his fingers with hers, marveling at the contrast between her silver blue skin and his own. "So what happens now?" he asked. "Unknown," she admitted. "There is no protocol for this situation." "Then we'll have to write new protocols," Finn suggested. Together. Her crests rippled with what he now recognized as happiness, a universal expression that transcended their biological differences. "I would find that acceptable," Commander Naravek said. And for the first time since he'd known her, she smiled. What had begun with a careless comment in a maintenance shaft had evolved into something unprecedented, a connection that neither human nor Valorian had anticipated. But that might just help bridge the gap between their worlds. And somewhere in the maintenance shafts of Orbital Station Artemis, where it all began, their story would be told for years to come.